allegations, said that Kendrick has to respond to the allegations of putting his hand on Whitney. And then I did like this much research, which I probably should have done.
How embarrassing do you think it is for Drake to tell both Academics and Kai, "Hey, stay on stream. I'm about to diss him. I got his ass now. I win." Within the hour, the greatest diss to ever come to existence drops, and Kai sees it, and Academics see it, and they stay on stream not because of Family Matters, but because of Meet the Grams. Buddy, please let this end.
If we know anything about Drake, is that he's gonna hide a kid. But an 11-year-old daughter named Eternity Joy is crazy work. So we all know K-Dot dropped the diss claiming that Drake allegedly had this 11-year-old daughter that he's been hiding from the world the same way that he hid Adonis. And I'm pretty sure the little girl's name is Eternity Joy. Not only did people find her Instagram page, which I'm gonna show you in a minute, but as of 6 hours ago, her freaking page went private. And then look at her bio. Actor, dancer, singer, artist, writer, producer. Not only that, this little girl has been in J. Cole and Drake's music videos, and this could explain why J. Cole said, "No, I'm good." That's her right there. And in the caption, she said, "Who can you see? Miss Eternity." Because that's her right there. And let's not forget, Drizzy Drake dropped this tweet 11 years ago, and it is now deleted. But if that wasn't crazy enough, Eternity Joy's birthday was on the 30th of March. You know what else came out on the 30th of March? Euphoria. Kendrick Lamar dropped Euphoria 4 days ago on this girl's birthday, bro. Drake, you might want to stop before your baby with Sexy Red comes out too. Because I've been telling you, not only did Sexy Red lie about the baby being a boy because it's a girl, but we all know how she was with Drake. And one thing about Drake, he will clearly have a baby and hide it from the world. You're never being the allegation, Drake. Let it go. So you need to let it. We need to expand and have a broader spectrum conversation of what it means to be an independent artist in the music industry. Because sincerely, when I think of independent artists, I think of Meg Thee Stallion. She owns her catalog. She owns her publishing rights. The only thing that she signs is a distribution deal. And then the label gets a cut from that. You would find Meg's music everywhere, including the biggest platform right now, such as TikTok. Artists like Drake are under labels. Their music are owned, and they do not own their music. So he's not an independent nor a low-key independent artist. That's why TikTok removed his music, because he signs to a label that reserves major right to his music. So Drake renegotiated his contract, because the companies that he signed to are subsidies under his label. Let's not mention again that Lil Wayne sold Nicki and Drake's catalog for his children's future. So the 500 package does not seldomly come to Drake. It goes to the brand Drake. That includes his lawyers, his ghostwriters, the people that work behind the scenes, including him as the main artist, to receive that package. He did not receive that money for him alone. And he will also again receive it for as long as he brings the numbers that he continued to bring. Because he does have a lot of streaming numbers, to be honest. He is bringing in the money. Because the brand Drake, the annual income is $1 billion. So he does deserve the $500 million the brand Drake's receives. So they did not give it to him. So that's something you need to put in here. So there's so many things that goes behind the scene to make an artist. The producers, the writers, the marketers. All of those things, they need to pay. There's no separate budget for that. It's included in that $500 million that he got. Well, the brand got.
Aubrey, what the fuck did you mean when you said that Kendrick is rapping like he's trying to free the slaves? That didn't sit right with me or my ancestors, because I don't like to call my ancestors slaves. You know what I mean? That sounds very sounds very half-breed of you. You was definitely cosplaying as a Black American. You don't know yourself. You should go watch Naruto. Try and heal that shadow, okay? It make you a better artist. You are exactly the white boy that they say that you are. And also, what's wrong with wanting slaves to be free, Aubrey? Drake is like textbook biracial with the white white mother. They will only cosplay and stand in their blackness when it benefits them, but when pressured, they will revert right back to their white side. Hitting up your white mother and saying, hey, the black boys are being mean to me. They're being racist, mommy. I remember when he said, whipped and chained you like an American slave. Yeah, like your ancestors definitely speaking to you through your music, ain't they?
We don't wanna hear you say neither no more.
Gang, always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed. Don't you got the American? This is why you. We don't want to hear you say it no more. You gonna say it at the end, like the beginning, like that was gonna hit. Stop saying the N word. Always rapping like you trying to get the slaves. You thought that shit ate, didn't you? You're not black, bro. Oh God, you're not black, Drake. You're not black. You're not black. Oh my God, you're not black, Drake. You're not black. You are a white boy.
I was up so late last night thinking to myself, is Drake a white supremacist? I think it's time we get to the bottom of this. In this thesis, I will. So just last year when Drake released For All the Dogs, on their album Slime You Out featuring SZA, he raps whipped and chained like American slaves. This is the first time that he makes mention to slaves. And it was just a few months ago, and it was this huge uproar about it. Something about him specifying American slaves is very intentional, and I don't like it. After that lyric caused all that controversy, he goes and drops Family Matters and says, out here begging for attention, say please. I don't like that, because what do you mean by that? Always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed. Why do you keep doing that? The way he uses slavery as an insult is giving white supremacists. I don't know how true this is, but him allegedly saying a black man is going to make him go into George Zimmerman mode, that don't sit right with me.
Oh, keep on talking, I'ma get in George Zimmerman mode. Pull up. Oh, keep on talking, I'ma get in George Zimmerman mode.
I know it's going to be people in the comments saying that I'm reaching. Baby, I'm very limber. I don't care. It's making me uncomfortable. This man is a white supremacist.
I really appreciate this comment. I did a little bit of research. You can go back to where this comment is and watch that video, because I said that Kendrick has to respond to the allegations of putting his hand on Whitney. And then I did like this much research, which I probably should have done before I made my video, and which Drake probably should have done before he said what he said in his song. Because yes, everybody was saying to me, did you even listen to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? Yes, I did. And yes, he has addressed so many of these things, which is why Kendrick opens Euphoria by saying, I know your angle. You're gonna say some different things because you heard Mr. Morale. But second, he says that a crisis management team caused no one to hear about the domestic violence dispute, him putting his hands on his queen. If you do this much Googling, you will find out that it has nothing to do with Whitney. That there was an accusation that he beat up a security guard in Las Vegas who was a woman back in 2014. And that now, I'm not going to say what didn't happen. What I will say is that the alleged victim is a white woman, that that both TDE and the crisis management team reached out to Media Takeout to be like, take this down. These claims aren't substantiated, and Kendrick had nothing to do with it. And then Kendrick, in several interviews, said, yeah, I was not involved. I have no idea what was going on with that. I don't know, and so I'm not going to speak too much on that, but I will say, why would Drake then say that he beat his wife? Like that, that's the weird part. Why would you write the rap and then get it wrong? Like, you're claiming that Kendrick put his hands on Whitney and then a crisis management team stepped in. But like a 2-second Google search shows you exactly the incident that he's referring to. I'm confused. Which, once again, just the inconsistent incohesion of all of Family Matters. And it's not even, I know people in my comments like, you're biased and one-sided. I want Family Matters to have been a concise, just a verbal assault on Kendrick. And you had two things, and now one of them isn't even proving to be what you said it was, and the other one is an accusation that a kid that they have isn't his. How are we gonna get so like it? I don't know. This, like, now that we're taking some time to digest it, I don't understand what Drake is doing. I don't understand the moves that he's making because just a little bit of research. So I'm sorry, y'all, for not doing as much research as I should have on this.
That is Drake's message. Look at that. Stay on.
How embarrassing do you think it is for Drake to tell both Academics and Kai, "Hey, stay on stream. I'm about to diss him. I got his ass now. I got his ass now. I win."
Win what?
Within the hour. Within the hour, the greatest diss to ever come to existence drops. And Kai sees it. And Academics see it. And they stay on stream not because of Family Matters, but because of Meet the Grams. Buddy, please let this.
Let me tell you why Kendrick and a whole bunch of other major artists really don't like Drake. As you can see, Kanye said it pretty perfectly a couple years ago in a remix, saying, "Where's Lucian? Serve your master what? You caught a little bag for your masters, didn't you? Lifetime deal, I feel bad for what?" That would be this man right here, Mr. Lucian Grames. The reason why Abel Tesfaye, aka The Weeknd, is in the position in which he is, which let me say this is for educational purposes only. But what if I told you there's a very dark history behind Lucian, that even Lucian himself has a puppet master? Let's keep in mind, Lucian is the chairman and chief executive officer of Universal Music Group. Oh yeah, the same exact one that's bringing his music back to TikTok. Let's keep in mind before I go any further though, Mr. Lucian Grange is under pressure from a lot of allegations. Allegations of sponsoring and financing every single one of P. Diddy's parties. Every single party of where P. Diddy's allegations and themselves originate from. Saying that Lucian aided and abetted Combs' behavior by sponsoring gatherings where underage girls were reportedly drugged and provided vast sums of money to Combs, who allegedly used it for what? But like I said, the music industry is very dark, and there's always another puppet master. This is Mr. Leo Cohen. How do you think Lucian Grange got that position to begin with? Well, you guessed it, aka the tall Israeli. And of course, Leo Cohen is a global head of music at Google and YouTube. But this man is a very high authority figure in the music industry. Because let's keep in mind, Cohen worked on the label side of the music industry at companies including Warner Music, Def Jam, Island Def Jam, and 300 Entertainment. But do keep in mind, Leo Cohen in himself is somebody that Tupac and himself was sketched out about. And ironically, not even 2 years after Tupac's death, in 1998 and 1999, Cohen brokered the deal to sell Def Jam to Universal, creating the Island Def Jam Music Group, which combined Def Jam, Mercury, and Island Records. And as you can see at that time, artists under his watch at Island Def Jam included none other than Jay-Z, Bon Jovi, Ludacris, and Mariah Carey, just to name a few. All very sketchy artists, but like I said, Mr. Leo Cohen himself is the victim of many allegations, including from a CIA agent that confessed the agency's created rap music to fill private prisons. Mr. John Holmeston, a retired CIA agent, has admitted on national Russian television that hip-hop was a psyop invented by the CIA in the 1980s and the agency has directed and financed household name artists including NWA, Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, and Kanye West. Kanye tried to tell everybody about this years ago. Of course, nobody wanted to listen. But John Holmeston said that our mission was to use teenage angst to our advantage to turn Generation X into a decadent, pro-drug, and anti-establishment culture that would create uprisings and further division within society, saying that the CIA even infiltrated mainstream radio to promote their music and reach millions of people every day. He also says when it comes to engineering culture, no one touches Leo Cohen. Holmeston admitted Leo Cohen, also known as the tall Israeli who runs hip-hop, used specific artists like these, I'm sure everybody knows who all of these people are, to gain specific influence in society. See, like it says here, Cohen ended up promoting rappers such as Jay-Z and Kanye West, and more recently brought Migos and Young Thug to prominence. Well, obviously Kanye knew what he was talking about. But see, Kanye himself, alongside John Holmeston, stated that these have been slowly working at eroding social norms for decades. To forcing famous black men to normalize the sight of men in dresses was a part of the agenda. And here's the thing, right? A music industry executive who was present at the first meeting between the CIA and music industry executives has written a confessional letter detailing exactly what went down on the fateful day, in a specific video that is no longer available online. Yeah, I'm sure that's not sketchy in itself, right? Or the fact that John Holmes has said that the CIA worked in tandem with music industry elite to create a funnel in which young people would be indoctrinated with brainwashing gangster rap music and then delivered to the highly profitable private prison system. In order to create this funnel, the CIA introduced music industry owners to the private prison industry. See, that's where Time Warner comes in because let's keep in mind, like I stated at the beginning of this video, Leo Cohen himself is a very high authority figure at Time Warner. As you can see, some of the biggest names in the music industry are in cahoots with private prison owners. As you can see in 2021, Core Civic, formerly known as Corrections Corporation of America, biggest name in the private prisons industry, contacted 48 states offering to buy the prisons. See, there was one particular requirement of eligibility for the deal, saying that an assurance by the agency partner that the agency has sufficient inmate population to maintain a 90% occupancy rate over the term of the contract. And here's the sketchy part that this article paints very well, right? In the year 2012, a mere 232 media executives in the U.S. were responsible for controlling all avenues necessary to manufacture any celebrity and spark any trend. And of course, Time Warner, as the owner of Warner Brothers Records, can not only sign an artist, but since they are also the owners of Entertainment Weekly, they can also put an artist on the cover of magazines by next week. Like it says right here, you think you choose what you listen to, but do you really? Here's the most important part that this article paints very well. BET and MTV are owned by Viacom. When ownerships of these mass media conglomerates is cross-checked with the biggest names of private prison ownership, the largest owner of Core Civic, like I just named, formerly Corrections Corporation of America, is none other than Vanguard Group Incorporated. The corporation that works very closely with BlackRock and Larry Fink. The corporation who basically has the highest shares in every single major corporation that resides out of America. Yeah, that one. Vanguard is the #1 shareholder in both Viacom and Time Warner. Vanguard is also the largest holder in the GEO Group, the second largest owner of private prisons in the entire USA. Like it says here, the people who own the media and are responsible for putting gangster rap at the center of youth culture are the very same people who own private prisons. So you tell me why this deal is a problem. You tell me why major artists really don't like Drake. Because I'm pretty sure it's obvious at this point. Drake is what you would call a sellout, and Kendrick truly knows how the industry runs. But you keep allowing yourself to be consumed by the
People are not talking about this cover enough. Ignore everything else about this rap beef. Everything else. Doesn't matter what came before, what's going to after. Everything else, all right? This picture alone is some horror movie level psychological torment. Kendrick said to Drake, hey buddy, just want to let you know that there are people around you that don't even like you, and they're just there for a check. In fact, people in your closest circle are willing to flip on you. And on top of that, I've got people in OVO. To which Drake was just like, nah, I'm gonna put out my track. And then 30 minutes later, Kendrick responded with this. Before he even rapped a singular lyric, he responded with a picture from inside of Drake's house. Stephen King can't execute that level of mental warfare. On top of that, you got the contents of the image, which are pretty interesting if they're real. Lots of people are focused on the Ozempic, which to me, I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know, it's an international superstar taking weight loss supplements. Like, who would have thought that would have happened, you know? I guess there is something to be said about Drake telling Kenny to go do push-ups while he himself is not working out and doing something else to lose weight, but that's not even the most interesting thing in this photo. Near the center of the photo, there are 2 medication bottles, one of which you can't really read, but the second one is a bottle of Zolpidem, which is the generic version of something called Ambien. That is something that you can use as a sleep aid, but it is also incredibly well known for being used to Bill Cosby people. On top of that, it looks like the photo's been cropped because of the weird dimensions, so it's leading to a lot of questions of like, what was in this baggie in the top left, and is there anything else around the photo that we're now not seeing? I still really want to stress the fact that we don't have confirmation whether or not that this photo is real or if it's staged, because you have people out here like DJ Academic saying that the photo is real and it's of real stuff, but the stuff is from Drake's dad's suitcase, but then that begs the question of why does Drake's dad have meds that are prescribed to Drake? And then you have Kenny saying on the previous song that Act's already compromised, so he can't be trusted. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter. To you and me, at least, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. And here's the deal. Let me tell you why. Because on one hand, if this is not real, right, if it is fake or if it is staged, it at least got everybody talking and theorizing and believing that it might be real because it is well executed enough that it at least alludes to the fact that Kendrick was right, making it still a great cover art for the topic and song at hand. On the other hand, if this is real, not only is everything I just said still true, but Drake has to be the most paranoid person on the planet right now, on the verge of a serious mental break. That man cannot trust a single person in his production team, his musical team, his tour, his crew, his label, even his friends. There is no one he can trust because someone was willing to flip on him in the middle of the battle. And the worst part wasn't that Kendrick was right. It's what else was Kendrick right about.
Regarding this Drake Kendrick beef, I was having a thought at like 6 a.m., like super random, out of my sleep thought, and I'm gonna share it with y'all. So my theory is Drake is using the same like methodology in this battle that he used in the Meek Mill battle. In the Meek Mill battle, what really solidified for everyone else that Drake won was back to back. And in both of his disses, he made like a catchy song. Like he made the diss catchy. And so when I heard Family Matters last night, I'm like, oh, this is catchy. This isn't really like, you know, pungent in the way that I needed this to be. This is more like Drake's brand, mainstream. It's catchy. It's like a bag of Doritos versus like a real meal that's been made and prepared to satiate hunger. This is like just to satisfy. And don't get me wrong, he had, you know, he was rapping throughout the whole thing. In that last little part, he was really like, his cadence was very catchy, but it just wasn't like hitting in the way that I needed it to. And so then I thought about it. I was like, hold on. I might need to go back and listen to the Drake and Meek Mill beef. Because I'm wondering if Drake won or if it was just catchy. was it that it was catchy that made everybody like gravitate toward it and say he won? Because I remember when Jay-Z and Nas were beefing, in the beginning, Jay-Z was crowned as the winner of the battle. I don't care what anybody says or what they choose to pretend like they don't remember. Jay-Z was actually crowned as the winner. But if you actually think about it, Takeover versus Ether, Takeover was catchy. Not to mention he ate Nas up in one verse as opposed to releasing a whole song, but that's a different conversation. Takeover was catchy. Ether, though, was like methodical. It was like a punch to the gut kind of thing. And so it has me wondering, like, I need to go back and listen to the Drake and Meek.
Welcome back, Professor Coach here. We're going to be covering what went wrong, knowing your role. And this is in, basically correspondence to the Drake and Kendrick beef. And we're going to get into it very quickly because there's so much irony packed into this that is hilarious. I cannot wait to share this with y'all. So for a brief recap of what we're going to be talking about, obviously DJ Academics allegedly was the one who confirmed, again, it's DJ Academics, we don't know, that the cover photo in Meet the Grams and the zoomed in version in 616 in LA was basically from a suitcase that was stolen from Drake's dad. Allegedly. Again, we don't know. Now, there's been speculation as to, maybe DJ Academics is covering for him, and maybe Drake's camp just kind of found this in his house and took pictures, of their own volition, or maybe this was a leaked photo that had already been taken, and then Kendrick got a hold of it later. Either way, cover photo, whether or not it's someone within Drake's camp, how did Kendrick get a hold of this? That's the big speculation. And so since the release of Meet the Grams with the full photo being zoomed out, Drake's fans have gone into counter-propaganda mode where they're claiming that both the photo and his entire daughter were planted. Stay with me. They're claiming that the photo or the briefcase items were planted and basically Drake knew who the mole was or is in the process of figuring out the mole. And so he laid out these items knowing that Kendrick had people in his camp so that Kendrick could, basically use this information and then he could call him out later saying, I already knew this. We'll get to the daughter thing in a second. It's just funny. And if you remember, Drake posted on his Instagram story very briefly after Meet the Gram saying, I don't know what kid this guy's talking about. Someone please show me this kid if that's apparently the case. First time I've ever heard of this. They're scrambling, clearly. If Drake was planting all of this information, daughter and photo included, as bait, why would he not gloat about that on his Instagram story instead of saying he has no idea what they're talking about? And I'm going to explain why Drake is the supervillain mastermind and the Drake fan base are the henchmen. The mastermind is supposed to think. The henchmen are supposed to wait for orders and act. And this is an instance of henchmen trying to think something they can't do, and that's not their job, and backfiring on their supervillain mastermind, who clearly would know how to pilot this situation better. And so let's analyze this earnestly and critically think. Let's say the photo is bait. Let's say he laid out the photo, he laid out the pills, he laid out the Ozempic, he laid out the glove, and he basically knew or was trying to basically narrow down who was the mole. And once that got, basically hinted at with 616, he's like, I know who the mole is now. I laid all those things out specifically. Not entirely unreasonable. The t-shirt making fun of Kendrick because, as it says in this Twitter thread, who originally proposed this theory or was one of the people talking about this theory, that t-shirt brand doesn't even exist anymore. It's a shorty collection. It's making fun of Kendrick's height. Okay, I give it a green check mark. Not crazy. The Ozempic and the Maybach Music glove connection, where the glove has MM, potentially a callback to, Maybach Music, which obviously pertains to Rick Ross. And maybe Drake, in a weird way, is trying to say, hey, Rick Ross, I bet you wish you had Ozempic. Too bad, so sad. A little bit of a stretch, but not crazy. I could pass that. The Drooly receipt, which is for the ring in the video, not confirmed, but potentially. Okay, he's basically saying, hey, I knew you were going to bring this up, so I flexed the ring that, you're revealing in this sort of leak. I already know your next move. Okay, that makes sense. If Drake is leaking this intentionally, either by choosing what is laid out, or choosing what's in the briefcase, or taking the photo himself and then sending it out to other people, why did he include sleeping pills in the photo? Drake stands, answer this question honestly. If you're trying to show, hey, I know who your mole is, gotcha, why are you also supplementing claims that you're a Bex offender and a Bex trafficker, including sleeping pills that are commonly used in date grape? How would that help Drake? Don't have an answer? It makes absolutely no sense, and this is a completely fucking idiotic theory? Yes, I'm sorry that you don't know how to critically think, but everything in the photo outside of this makes some sense. Intentionally including that you're in possession or have been prescribed sleeping pills after claiming you don't sleep in the FM when you're already getting hit with Bex offender allegations and Bex trafficking does not make you look better. It looks like you do actually date great people, which is why you have sleeping pills in your possession. But do Drake fans have the intellect to process that? Absolutely not. The second one, which is more mind-numbingly stupid, I don't even know why people are saying this, is that Drake planted this daughter. And I'm not going to include her name because I'm not going to contribute to people harassing or digging for her. But basically, the idea here is that Drake knew or was testing who the mole was by saying around his camp that he had a daughter, or basically saying or giving out info that would allow either Kendrick or the informant to figure out that he had a daughter to then run back to Kendrick to report this. Drake fans, explain this to me. Either case one, the people that a lot of people are assuming or confirming that is Drake's daughter is actually Drake's daughter. And so does Drake reveal his daughter to the world at her birth? No. Throughout her childhood? No. With any of her achievements? No. In any of his music in a positive light? No. You're telling me that Drake hid his daughter from the world so that the first time that she gets introduced into the public is used as a prop in rap beef for a gotcha moment. Do you think that makes Drake look better or worse? He hid another child and then only used that child as a prop to go at Kendrick to say, I know who your mole is, gotcha. Not because he loves her, not because he wants the world to know that he loves her and that he's in her life, not to celebrate her childhood or any of her achievements, as a mere prop in fucking rap beef. Does that look like that makes Drake look like a better person? And let's handle case two. The daughter is not his. And so now he's taking either some random or some other person's daughter and using someone else's child as a prop in a rap beef to try to catch a mole in his camp. When he could have released reference tracks, he could have released information about his own life, and is now jeopardizing through overexposure and basically opening up this 11, 12-year-old to harassment for a daughter that's not his, just so he can say, ha ha, Kendrick, I know who your mole is. Does that make Drake look like a good person? Does that make Drake look like he's winning? Do you see how fucking stupid you sound when you say shit like this? And the most ironic part about this is as Kendrick is releasing these diss tracks, obviously Kendrick takes a lot of time. Obviously, Kendrick plans with the whole 616 in LA and Meet the Grams. Obviously, Kendrick, who's won a Pulitzer, although he didn't need to, takes a lot of time in his writing. And so he not only writes in a way for it to be interpreted in multiple ways, but he would also do his due diligence to make a lot of connections in a lot of varied aspects. But whenever Kendrick fans earnestly, because they're nerdy and maybe a little bit annoying, try to figure out the meanings that Kendrick is potentially putting in his music, people say, Kendrick's not even thinking that hard. You guys are doing too much because anti-intellectualism is running rampant. I fucking hate Ronald Reagan. He destroyed public education in this country. And people clown Kendrick fans for reaching. But whenever they reach, does it ever make Kendrick look worse? No, it just makes his fan base look a little bit more annoying and a lot more pretentious. When Drake fans try to critically think, they end up making Drake look like a shittier person with things that don't make any sense. So people who don't know how to think, cannot critically think, hate that people try to engage with art and think about deeper meanings. When they try to find deeper meanings in either the music or the art of their stan, they end up making him look like an even bigger deadbeat or actually substantiating these Bex trafficker allegations by using another person's child as a prop, or that he's planting bait but also including that he's likely date raping people. I never want to hear people complain about Kendrick fans being earnestly nerdy when Drake fans are so stupid they make Drake look worse than had they said nothing. Drake is the mastermind. You guys should know your role as the henchman. He's your stand because you don't know how to think. Stop trying. Drake and his PR team probably gonna figure this out. You guys are making it harder for him.
I really appreciate this comment. I did a little bit of research. You can go back to where this comment is and watch that video because I said that Kendrick has to respond to the allegations of putting his hand on Whitney. And then I did like this much research, which I probably should have done before I made my video, in which Drake probably should have done before he said what he said in his song. Because yes, everybody who's saying to me, did you even listen to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? Yes, I did. And yes, he has addressed so many of these things, which is why Kendrick opens Euphoria by saying, I know your angle. You're gonna say some different things because you heard Mr. Morale. But second, he says that a crisis management team caused no one to hear about the domestic violence dispute, him putting his hands on his queen. If you do this much Googling, you'll find out that it has nothing to do with Whitney. That there was an accusation that he beat up a security guard in Las Vegas who was a woman back in 2014. And that now, I'm not going to say what didn't happen. What I will say is that the alleged victim is a white woman, that that both TDE and the crisis management team reached out to Media Takeout to be like, take this down. These claims aren't substantiated, and Kendrick had nothing to do with it. And then Kendrick, in several interviews, said, yeah, I was not involved. I have no idea what was going on with that. I don't know, and so I'm not going to speak too much on that, but I will say, why would Drake then say that he beat his wife? Like that's the weird part. Why would you write the rap and then get it wrong? Like, you're claiming that Kendrick put his hands on Whitney and then a crisis management team stepped in, but like a 2-second Google search shows you exactly the incident that he's referring to. I'm confused. Which, once again, just the inconsistent incohesion of all of Family Matters. And it's not even, I know people in my comments like, you're biased and one-sided. I want Family Matters to have been a concise, just a verbal assault on Kendrick. And you had two things, and now one of them isn't even proving to be what you said it was, and the other one is an accusation that a kid that they have isn't his. How are we gonna get so like it? I don't know. This, like, now that we're taking some time to digest it, I don't understand what Drake is doing. I don't understand the moves that he's making because just a little bit of research. So I'm sorry, y'all, for not doing as much research as I should have on this.
I'm always going to defend a man that always puts an effort in his character. Again, you listen to a woman who's listening to Kendrick's album, specifically Mr. Morale, because this album highlights many factors that he had to deal with, and he is also working upon with himself. Also made Mr. Morale for women like me, who were lured in by older men when they were younger. And also, Mr. Morale was one of the biggest healing point in my healing journey. A lot of you are not hip-hop ingrained. You're hip-hop surface level. A lot of things are connected and you're not paying attention. I have spoken about being in a relationship when I was 12 years old. He has done the same thing when he spoke about beating or putting a hands on a woman or Mr. Morale. It's like someone else coming in and twisting the things I've said and saying that I am a prostitute. I've slept with multiple men based on what I've said, that I've been with a man since I was 12 years old. You see how that can easily be twisted when we come out front and talk about the things that we have done. It's meaning that we have dealt with it and we are still in the process of dealing with the very same thing. Instead of making TikTok videos, just pay attention to the art that is unfolding. Because a lot of you're telling me that it's went from fun. It was never fun. It's always been ugly. And that's the thing, you guys just never learn. And you're gonna learn the hard way. This is why, again, he's not going to respond to the allegation. Because even in Euphoria, he made an entry point by saying that he knew what he was about to say. Sometimes even when I talk about my story and they accuse me of being a prostitute or a high mileage, often than not, I'm not going to address that. I don't even want to. Because for me, being a prostitute, at least I had a choice that I'm doing it out of my own conscious will. I had a direction of my own life and I was reacting out of my own pain, maybe. But for someone to consciously program me to be their wife, and I couldn't even speak up for myself because since I was a young girl, I just believed that he was the one. Kendrick also touched upon the things of saying that you would not have to be with the older man to make you feel loved. You are worthy. You are fucking worthy. You are everything that is deserving of love. You shouldn't be going around looking for man to seek that validation, it should be built internally by you. I'm not even a hip hop fan at this point. I'm a music fan. I love music. There's a reason again why I was studying sound engineering. I loved music so much that I even decided to dedicate my time to studying sound engineering. I wanted to study sound and how it makes things sound the way that they sound. But again, I live in South Africa, so we are not allowed to expand as Black people. We're trapped in certain careers, but that's another conversation for another day. So you see how things can be twisted? So he's not going to address that the same way I don't even address certain things that are said about me. Like, why would I? Again, if you're going to criticize Kendrick, if you're going to accuse Kendrick as well, make sure that your shelf is clean. Make sure that the people that you're listening to in terms of music, in terms of creation, in terms of television, those people are clean, because Hollywood is not known for people who are clean though. They're all linked to something in some way. Let us clarify this because a lot of people are confused. Yes, Kendrick did beat a woman. He did rap about it in the album Mr. Morale, and there's evidence about the incident of the woman. The woman was not Winnie. It is well documented. I don't know what that human traffic and that PDO was going on about. But because I love evidence so much, I'm going to read the article. Kendrick was accused of assaulting a white woman at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas. It would be more interesting to say to the public that you know what, he is beating Winnie than a random woman who's a security. I don't know how to say this one. People will lean more to Winnie's situation than the security one. And besides that, he made multiple accusations against her as well, accusing her of infidelity, that one of the babies is not Kendrick's. Besides those two things, he didn't really say much, and he really didn't have anything on him. Most people, like myself, most people did not know that it happened until Kendrick said it himself in Mr. Morale. Did Kendrick Lamar threaten to remove his music should they remove R. Kelly's music? The answer is no. Kendrick's label threatened to remove their music from Spotify should they remove R. Kelly's music. The person that requested to remove their music, his name is Anthony, and he's the CEO of Top Dog Entertainment. CEO Top Dog Entertainment has now confirmed that they threatened to remove music from the service. People seem to forget that artists are under contract. So that one is debunked. Let's move on to the next one. Was Kendrick molested as a child? The answer is no. Kendrick wasn't even molested, but his mom didn't believe him because he had PTSD from being molested herself. In Mr. Morale, Kendrick clearly states this. I think about Robert Kelly. If he wasn't molested, I wonder if love will fail him. I wonder if Oprah found the closure. The way that she posted the hurt the woman carries. My mother abused young. Like all the mothers back where we were from, SSY buried the family members. What you know about Black trauma? Anyway, let me continue. Did Kendrick beat his wife? The current information that we have is a no. In 2014, which concerned an incident where Kendrick was accused of assaulting a white woman at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas. Another thing, he talked about such an incident in Mr. Morale. So go listen to the album. Like I said, I always stand behind a man who actively works upon his character. My stand upon Kendrick will only change if Winnie comes up and says it, then yeah, no. But if a PDO tells me that, I don't even like PDOs to begin with. Don't believe anything that comes out of fear. When a PDO says it, is a no from me. I don't think I described this enough. I hate PDOs. Hate cannot even describe the emotion that I feel towards them. Let me describe it like this. If you are trapped in a house that is burning, I would never call for help. I'll just leave you. I hate child groomers. I hate age gap relationships between adults and children. I hate child traffickers. You know what a relationship between an adult with a minor does to the minor's brain? It disturbs your development process. Do you also know what penetration does to your body when you're a minor? It traumatizes your body because you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Hypothetically, I don't even believe that death is a solution. Breaking such people apart, destroying literally everything about them before heading for a clean headshot, it's the best way to destroy a PDO for me. Like, keep your children safe from pedophiles. I can't emphasize that enough. Please listen to me when I say this and listen attentively. Your attackers are always looking for your weakest prey. Believe it or not, they want a smooth transition into attacking you. And fear being the common dominator. It's always a psychological warfare whenever you engage with a man. Men perceive themselves to be animals, and we are their experiments. Therefore, you should treat them as such. I have 4 attackers, which are my 4 points. I have a thing called entrance point. It's smooth, non-threatening, non-confronting, just smooth. Second, my diluted point. It's pungent and it's strong, but not too strong to stroke his ego. And then I realized that I've done that. I go to semi-rejection. I purposely make myself an undesirable prey. And then I get to my conclusion. I had an Uber driver with eyes wide open. Call me crazy. I see videos tell me that Kendrick and Drake are the same. They're just hypocrites. I'm like, shut your mouth. Shut it, please. Respectfully. Have you ever seen a pedophile take accountability? Have you ever loved a pedophile? Have you ever been penetrated by a pedophile? No, like really, help me understand. Kendrick is a man who has owned up to his own flaws. And I'll be damned. If you compare him to a gaslighting, manipulative pedo. If the information that we are receiving is from a pedo, I don't want it. I don't really give a damn. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I already told you, I don't like pedophiles. I hate them with a passion. Kendrick has never even said that he's a better man. In fact, he's owned up to being a flawed man. A man who works constantly on his character.
Couple things.
Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him.
Just make sure to hide your little sister from him. 2 months ago, Drake was rumored to be dating, and currently has been rumored to be dating, the rapper Lotto's little sister. Her 21-year-old little sister. Second, and I'm still trying to process Meet the Grams. I was not prepared for another drop. I was not ready for this, but here we are. So this is Drake's home. Featuring Kendrick's song Like That. Kendrick said, don't make me drop the location. He dropped the location. Okay, so in the cover art for the song that Kendrick just dropped, it's showing that there's 13 individuals in Drake's home, which I think like this symbolizes like Drake's camp, like potentially OVO. And OVO is made up primarily of 16 different individuals, including Drake. Drake has this very close entourage who are very closely associated with him on a friendship and a business level. Like, for example, Baca Not Nice. He has been charged and faced prison time for X trafficking. And when he got out of prison, Drake helped him become famous. What my theory is, and it's probably wrong, but there's 13 people here in this cover art. And there are 16 people a part of OVO that are like pillars in OVO, including Drake. Do the people missing from this cover art symbolize the OVO moles? Kendrick exposing Drake is going much further than just Drake being exposed. And I'm here for the tea. I'll probably make 500 more videos about these diss tracks. I'll see you guys in the next one.